Hello and welcome to the Recon Cast, a regular topic-based podcast show featuring myself and one, if not both of my sisters, Louise and Vanessa, and within which we are going to discuss all sorts of things from games, movies, TV, popular culture, to the sort of silly stuff you might talk about with your mates, like zombies or time travel and such shenanigans. This will usually be recorded once a month and split up into 3 topics and a compilation. So 4 separate videos that will be posted roughly once a week throughout each month. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then sit back and enjoy. Topic 1. What was your favourite generation of consoles? Not a specific console per se, but a generation of consoles. For example, the 5th generation PS1, Sega Saturn, N64 era, for example, or PS2, Xbox, etc, etc. So, what was your favourite generation? You don't have to say the generation if you don't know which one it pertains to. Just say the consoles. But what era of gaming really floats your boat? So, thoughts, anyone?
It's quite tricky, really. Like personally, because I loved all like the Sega and stuff for like the fun and the you know the jokes and you know having a laugh on it and stuff and not taking it seriously. But then again, when it comes to like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and stuff, I don't know. I think
I'll tell you what. I'll go first. Give you time. Give you guys some time to mull on it. Now, I really like the PS1 era. I think it was chock-a-blocked with potential. You know, PS1, N64, like I was saying. You know, that era is a solid, strong era. But for me, that era is more like an era of potential because 3D was just becoming like the thing. That was, you know, that was the major quantum leap was to 3D. And I think people were still trying to find their feet with it. Like, you take something like Tomb Raider, which was amazing. You go back and play it now, it's like, oh... It's janky as fuck and it doesn't look great. It's really hard to play.
I have replayed
it
on the PS3 and I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, the controls are awful, but I really enjoyed it.
Even the graphics?
Yeah, the graphics were like groundbreaking.
Yeah, they were at the time.
When you're in like the big ruins and everything, they were really good. It was very impressive. I played the crap out of that game, but I had another go for nostalgia. I still enjoy it.
It's like I worry about going back for some games nostalgia wise, whether you start to lose something. I was a bit worried about that with Resident Evil 4 with the control system, but that was fine, you know. But then that's not as far back. Like something like, again, we talk about some of these games a lot, but like Jade Cocoon, games like that, I would quite happily go back for that, even if it looks a bit janky. But I think the art style of it in general, you know, it's just shot in a really specific way. It's almost like Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. Or it's almost got that sort of style, you know, before that was really a thing. So, you know, so I think you'd be okay with that. But yes, but I think that generation for me is more about potential. And you can go back to like where you know, me and Lou both cut our teeth. The Sega Mega Drive SNES era. Great games, great things, but it's more like games were like a thing. It's not, the games didn't start to become what they could be. You know, games as they progressed become art forms in their own right, akin to like film. You know, like you'd never. I mean, you could argue some of the Final Fantasies were quite, you know, amazing with their story and all that sort of stuff. But it's not the same as, you know, I don't know, even Final Fantasy 7 or 8 or, you know, stuff, or like going into the next era, Final Fantasy 10, and, you know, I mean, even them, they've got their problems, but going through that whole progression, you get to games like, you know, The Last of Us, or, you know, Journey, or something like that. These games are like art forms in their own right. They stand up toe to toe with film and literature and things like that. And for me, in the Sega Mega Drive era, games were great,
but they weren't beautiful.
They were just games. Yeah. They were just games. They weren't more than that.
There may be the odd exception, but
there wasn't a lot that you could, like you know, they didn't concentrate as much on the story, or you know, the cinematic.
They couldn't really. I mean, it's more like gameplay was king, and that's great. Gameplay is obviously a major important part to video games, but you know, just gameplay alone, it struggles to make, you know, it more than the sum of its parts. So for me, where we started, I don't think it was there yet. I think we're only just starting to really get where it's really becoming like artistic, perhaps midway through the PS3 era into now, you know, the PS4, Xbox One era. But for me, where it started to become more than the sum of its parts, I'd say initially Final Fantasy VII in that era. For me, it showed me that a game could be more than, you know, just a game. But for me, the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, original Xbox, I would say Xbox One, but then that could get confusing. Game Boy Advanced era. I think that's, for me, it's like a perfect storm of things are not just potential now. Things are starting to reach their potential. We've learnt from our lessons, you know, previously on the N64 and PlayStation, and now games like GTA, you know, are starting to grow upon that. GTA 3, you know, Max Payne. These are like these are like super early games that, you know, into your Resident Evil 4s and even your Final Fantasy 10s, which is deeply flawed in some ways. But, you know, then moving on, you can have all the other Final Fantasies into that, Final Fantasy 12. And, you know, personally, that game didn't blow me away, but I know a lot of people that it did. And I think, so for me, again, maybe it's just rose-tinted glasses on my part, but for me, that's the generation that speaks to me the most. I mean, there was a lot of competition. You know, GameCube was probably the weakest in that era, but GameCube, there was still great games on the GameCube. Yeah, like bunches of dope-ass Zeldas, you know, even cool little fun games like Monkey Ball and, you know, Pikmin. I mean, Pikmin's like an artistic thing. It's a bit kiddie, but it's like it's almost like an art game. Like if you think about it, stuff like that, you know. And the Game Boy Advance era, I think that handheld didn't get enough of a shot. Like the DS kind of took over probably earlier than it needed to. And the DS is probably better if we're being honest. But I think the Game Boy Advance had some really great games on it, particularly RPGs that, you know, people don't talk about. So for me, that's the era that works for me. Again, maybe it's just because it pertains to the sort of the time that, you know, the nostalgia and everything. But
I think the same. PS2 was my favourite, and it's when I remember really enjoying games. I like the PS3 as well. My least favourite is probably now, because I can't remember falling in love with a game for a long time.
Yeah, I'm a bit similar. I would say my least favourite was towards the end of the PS3 generation, because I feel like games midway through of the PS3 generation and Xbox 360 generation stopped being made for me, and then they were starting to be made for younger people, like, you know, like my nephew Taylor or whatever. You know,
low
like,
attention spans.
You could say that, but I think they start to shift making games for him, and that's fine. I get that, you know, like that's the new youth, and soon enough, you know, games will start be making for them. They'll start be making for the next generation. But I find it difficult because I don't feel anyone's making games for me really that much. I mean, I feel like I'm starting to get games that speak more to me now in the PS4 generation. You know, in the Xbox One generation, I think there's games starting to come across. Like Fallout 4, I really liked that, and I'm looking forward to some really cool games. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 would probably float my boat, you know, maybe one day when I get to play that. And there's a bunch of games like that, and loads of games I'm looking forward to. So I think it's starting to get
I think
back.
At launch, I had a few games, and then there's just nothing I wanted for quite a long time.
Oh yeah, for about 2 years, this generation for me, the most recent generation, has been a bit dead. I mean, particularly with first parties, and especially on the PlayStation, there's no real first parties that are a must-have unless you're into like Bloodborne, or now you could argue there is one in Uncharted 4, which is, if not out now, then well, it's probably not just out at the time of recording, but it will be by the time this video goes live. So, but yeah, but even that, Uncharted doesn't really speak for me. I've not really played it that much. I mean, maybe I'd like it a lot, but I think we are starting to get there with that generation. But I would agree with you totally, Lou. Like that's the era that I felt like I had the most fun with games. You know, I enjoyed them the most. You know, they were speaking to me as a thing.
I remember just with some games being totally absorbed.
Yeah, that's it. You would just, you know, lose yourself in some of the games. It's hard to think of them off the top of my head. Like maybe I should have wrote down a little list of games that spoke to me, but there were lots of games did. So
Yeah, I loved like the PlayStation 2 and that. I think, like, I remember Mum buying me the PlayStation 1 and I was like stoked about it. I'd got like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, but I remember the PlayStation 2. I saved up my £5 pocket money that I used to get every week until I got enough to buy the PlayStation 2. It took me fucking forever.
Yeah.
But I did it, so it was so satisfying to finally get it, and like and I got San Andreas with it as well.
Yeah.
And it was just like I spent my life on there.
San Andreas
whole
is
summer holidays.
a great game.
I think it was also good because it wasn't a loss. It was back compatible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
The big
it
chunky one was
wasn't it?
definitely.
You didn't have to let go of all your favourites.
I think
well.
later
And then
on they started to phase that out, didn't they? Where it's not.
Yeah, the
backwards
slims were a bit more.
Although I'm not sure actually. I've got the newest PS2 still.
No, I think
pretty
it was
sure
okay.
you
It
can
was
play
supposed
PS1 on
to,
it.
but it was more
I
sensitive.
hang on to my PS1 games. I've still got a lot of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think most, if not all, generations of the PS2, iterations.
Yeah, it was just
I should
more
say.
sensitive, like the when they got to the slims and stuff. I reckon. Like some of the really old PlayStation ones wouldn't go on it.
My
no.
Slim, all the PS1 games I've tried on it still work. So.
Yeah, but that's a nice point to mention.
Yeah.
That's a good point. They don't really backwards compatible. They don't really do that anymore. It's because they keep changing the architecture. But if they keep doing these half steps, these PlayStation Neos and whatnot, they're really going to need to make backwards compatible a thing going forward if that's what they're going to do. Because you're not going to want to throw all games out after like 3 years or whatever. You're going to want to be able to play those older games. And obviously these steps are going to be that, but I think it would be nice to see it going forward. There's rumours about the NX as well being backwards compatible. I think that would be an amazing idea for all Wii U players if they could somehow play their Wii U games on the NX. I think that's a smart decision. But yeah, anyway, so what have you picked then, V? Are you also going for the PS2 era or PS1 or?
I think I'll stick with the PlayStation 2. If not PlayStation 2, then PlayStation 1. But yeah, I think I'll stick with the PS2 mainly because, like you said, it was the one that kind of I took it more serious, and I really started to enjoy the games and you know in a proper way rather than just having a mess.
I think when you think about it, if you take GameCube out of it to a degree, Xbox and PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, it's where gaming started to feel more grown up. It wasn't just. I mean, they were already sort of doing that to a degree on the PlayStation 1, but it felt like you start to get some adult titles. These games were clearly not meant for children. So many of the games. Like, don't get me wrong, plenty of children played them. I wasn't very old when the PS2 was about. But they're not like even GTA. Like, kids shouldn't be playing it now. They do, but GTA is not meant for children. It's meant for adults. God. It was always meant for adults. And like there were horror games. Silent Hill. Silent Hill was not meant for children.
Don't let your children play that unless you want to plant out in your bed.
I can barely deal with it. And I'm supposed to be an adult.
I mean, they were starting to do that in the previous generation, but I think it really all the things came to fruition in that era and really became what they are. And then maybe it's rose tinted glasses as well. Like maybe would say now is such a great era for gaming. And I think it is to a degree. I think it's definitely an era for indie games. It's like a golden era for indie games, but still I don't feel those games are necessarily made for me or capturing my heart per se, like games did back then, so but I think we're starting to get there. I think slowly but surely we're starting to get games that are made for me. So
our taste,
I really like the SNES Mega Drive generation as well, or NES, we call it SNES over here, so but there really
I think,
really are some.
The thing that I always remember with those is that, and that PS1 came as such an amazing thing, No save points.
Yes. Yeah,
save codes maybe for levels.
Yeah,
that was the best you'd get.
Save points were rare.
What a soul destroyer that was.
Yeah, but it's kind of a cunning little trick as well to get you to play that game through from a certain point, or something like that. You can't get to keep all your things. Save points are a great thing, but then you start to get the territory of like wiped saves and people deleting your saves and not having enough space on your memory cards. But you're right, they were a quantum leap and stuff. It's all like super annoying when someone fucking takes your memory card and then deletes your important saves. Oh,
I remember a lot of that happening.
That's super irritating.
Well, we had to share.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went back a while ago to record some footage from my PS2 and like looking at the saves on the memory cards. It's crazy. Some of the like old Final Fantasy saves and things. It's like kind of cool to look back through them and stuff. And memory cards starts to seem like such a weird, quaint thing at this point, doesn't it? Because everything saves to like a hard drive or the cloud or something. It's like,
yeah,
it seems very quaint, but they were really cool. I liked it, so I think it was good stuff. Yeah, so I think we've come to a consensus as usual. I'm going to go with great minds think alike, and I think we've gone for the 6th generation as our favourite generations of consoles. So, okay, topic 2. We've already previously discussed what we do in a somewhat realistic zombie scenario, so this time the sky's the limit. What is your endgame setup for the zombie apocalypse? Now, we've previously discussed this separately off the recording. That you guys haven't really thought about it in too much detail. So what I'll do is I'll say my scenario, and then we'll talk about the legitimacy of some other options, like I'll tell you them once we get to that point. So my scenario is, my end game scenario is like an oil rig. We've talked about oil rigs before, how they would be, it would be a really cool place to go because it's sort of at sea, so the zombies, they can't really swim. You could go off the Land of the Dead film where they can walk at the bottom of the fucking river, but that's stupid because dead bodies float, so that doesn't count.
They're up on stilts as well. The part where you live is nowhere near the sea.
Exactly, you're up like what 20 meters off the sea, or more probably.
Like scaffolding, isn't it?
And oil rigs are self-sufficient, I believe. I don't quote me on this, but I remember hearing that they're self-sufficient, so they somehow process a small amount of the oil, the crude oil, on the oil rig, and it creates power for the rest of the oil rig to power the operation. So you could, have power for anything you want, radios, even like TV and whatever. You could power anything. You could have, batteries for your phones and your torches, all that stuff. So you're golden there.
What are you hoping for us to pick holes in your great plan?
Well, not really. Oh no, I'll go on the legitimacy of, I've got a couple of different options, and we'll talk about how good they are afterwards. Because you guys haven't really talked about this, and I thought everybody thought about this sort of stuff. Like I was saying, maybe I'm just think too much stupid shit. But yeah. Anyway, so it's also got a water desalination plant on board, so it takes the seawater, turns it into fresh water, and you have a bevy of like food at your fingertips in the ocean. So get some fishing trawlers nearby. You can probably make fuel for them from your oil rig and send them out, and you can have, so you've got food, a ready supply of food, water, fresh water, electricity, and fuel that you could trade with whatever's left of the navy, or whatever's left of whatever commercial fishing vessels that have decided to camp out at sea. So you've got like money that you can make, and you've got all that. But so that oil rig's one really good idea. So that's one end game scenario. The only problems with that is I don't know how to operate an oil rig. So I don't know about you guys.
That's what I was going to say. You'd have to hope they left a lot of manuals lying around.
Well, or that there's still a couple of people manning that oil rig that know how to work it and could teach you. So you kind of.
Also, I don't like fish.
They might do. Yeah, but if it's a survival thing, what about squid?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be so much nicer.
I suppose I'd get on with it, but yeah, I'd be really moody the whole time.
Have they got like a fryer? Because I only like squid rings.
Probably. They're going to have a kitchen, aren't they?
Let's have got a deep
Could we breed sea cows?
You could. You could probably breed
Cows
chickens.
and dolphins.
Cows would be too big, but you could do chickens probably. You know, they wouldn't be too. You keep them in pens and
All
stuff.
right then. All right.
I don't know what.
Battery farms.
I don't know. I don't think you could feed them fish, so I don't know what you'd do for their feed.
I think you can feed chickens nearly anything, to be honest.
Can you?
They're not dead picky.
But they need certain stuff to form eggs and stuff, though, don't they?
They could get that out of the fish bones.
They can eat off their own eggs as well. They can. If you crunch that up, they can eat
their
that
own
again.
shell. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can help produce more. So you just need sort of like grit, I think, little bits of grit.
Yeah.
I don't really know how it works. I'm not a fucking vet or anything, but yeah. So you could probably get like sort of chickens, and you could grow like plants and like have greenhouses on the top decks and stuff in some areas. I mean, it would be a bit makeshift, and there wouldn't be a lot of space, but you could probably grow some sorts of fruit and vegetables. So, you know, or things to feed your chickens and whatnot. But then again, it's like I said, you're going on the arm of a leg.
It's like the old days at sea. If you don't have something, you get the scurvy.
Yeah. Well, if you're in a hot region, you could grow lemon trees if you're in a hot region. But yeah, you're going on the arm of the leg that you've got to hope that you can find someone who knows how to operate the oil rig. That's why some other options, like my next end game scenario I would go for is an island. Because granted, you know, I mean, everybody goes to an island, but I've got a specific island in mind. Because unless you've got an island it'd have to be massive to be able to have like an abundant amount of fresh water. So my thought is find one of those islands that's in like on a massive lake. So it's in the middle of a massive lake. So there's a current as well, which will be helpful. It's fresh water, and so if you just like barricaded up, you build a little fort in the middle, and then like build trenches around it in case raiders ever try and take over, and then you just take the perimeter of like the beaches and stuff and turn it like Normandy-esque and fill it with razor wire and landmines and stuff. So for if any raiders ever got an idea, because then if any raiders try to attack,
from?
What?
The razor wire and the landmines. Where are you getting them from?
Well, you just look up where's the nearest razor wire warehouse that produces razor wire, and you've got an abundant. There's not going to be anyone there, and you just go raid it like you do all the other stuff you're going to want.
Like, do you think you're the only person that's got this idea?
Well, they're not going to be after I've said it, but no, obviously not. But
it's not a bad thing though. People with a like-minded idea, you might get along, and you can't make do with just a handful of people. You'd need a decent-sized group, so potentially it's not a bad thing.
Sure, there's going to be other people with similar ideas, but there are more than one razor wire manufacturer in the world, you know, or within the area. So
some of the Scottish islands would be good as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the islands around Scotland are on. They've not really got direct access to them. They're on cliffs.
Yeah.
So something like that could work, and it rains a whole lot there, so you'd have water. Fresh water,
yeah. So that's what it was like. The lake, I was thinking as well, though, because if any raiders were to attack you, they'd have to get on a boat to do it, and you would someone on your watchtower would see them 5 minutes out, so they could never really get the element of surprise on you. You'd always have time to prepare, and if it had like a decent current to it, and then zombies, like I said, zombies can't swim. Yeah, they could like flap about in the water, and maybe one or two will get dragged to shore every once in a while. But you could easily deal with them, and if your compound in the middle's got like solid concrete structures, which you'd imagine being on an island would give you time to prepare for that, then you'd have the structure. And even if, like, say, 50 fell into a river from some shenanigans that happened upstream, most of them would get caught in either the razor wire or blown up in the landmines. And those that didn't, you could just pick off from your, your solid concrete wall. You stand on your wall and just like cap them or whatever. So
you could go like a Bond villain as well and get robot sharks around the lake.
You could do.
Get some scary wildlife in there.
Those resources might be slightly difficult to come by in the zombie apocalypse, but hey, why not? I did say sky's the limit, so
If you go for Scotland as well, you might have Old Nessie. Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Oh, train the Loch Ness. Perfect.
Oh, but what if the Loch Ness gets turned into a zombie?
That's
and then
what
it's
I was going to say.
And then it's like in Resident Evil 4. You know that thing in Resident Evil 4? When you're on that little boat and the grappling hook?
I don't know. Well, you wouldn't have to worry about raiders anymore, would you?
That is true. You just
And
have to worry about
if you can get
the giant
to
zombie
your
whale
island,
thing.
you might be okay. It'd certainly be a deterrent.
Say bye-bye to like supply runs.
Yeah, I suppose though, if you become self-sufficient,
for all that anyway, it'd be fine.
If you became self-sufficient, then you wouldn't need to go on supply runs per se. Another thing about going with if you had an island on a freshwater lake is fish. You could just cast out nets, and then ones that are going downstream would just get caught, and you could just, again, fresh, abundant amount of food. So it's super cute. Another idea was a lighthouse. Little bit more difficult. There's not fresh water, and you'd have to worry about getting supplies back and forth. But it would be to take a lighthouse, even for raiders, would be difficult because you've got like your spiral staircase in the middle. You could just set up what are they called, like a drawbridge in the stairs, so they couldn't get access to. So like part way up even if they managed to somehow get on the fucking lighthouse island, which is really difficult because the conditions are usually quite choppy. Even if they could do that and get inside the lighthouse, they'd have to then climb a fucking spiral staircase where you would be at the top. You would have an elevated position that you could have fortified and like drawbridges part way up, so they just get stuck and you just end up. It'd be like a shooting fish in a barrel. So it will be protected in that sense, but problem with that is
small inside.
Yeah, really so you go a little stir crazy.
It's like a small apartment.
And supply runs. You'd have to go on supply runs. Maybe you could fish, but you definitely need to figure out like some way of getting fresh water. Again, maybe you could find some sort of small desalination plant. I think some like sailing vessels have them. Obviously massive ships have them, but you couldn't have one of them because they'd be too big. But those little like sailing vessels that will like sail around the world in like X amount of time, or sail from London to New York or whatever. Yeah. They have those little races and ones that get sponsored all the time. They have mini desalination plants, and maybe you could do something like that. But you probably have to go on supply runs quite often, so that would be quite risky.
That's only going to be for a small group, isn't it?
Yeah, that would have to be for a small group as well. So that would be quite tricky. The last one I thought up is a bunker. Now, I have major problems with bunkers. I think it's just a terrible idea. If Day of the Dead hasn't taught you, or even Night of the Living Dead, where they decide to go in the cellar, hasn't taught you that it's a bad idea, then you ain't very smart, and natural selection is going to get you anyway. So
you deserve it.
So I mean, like, bunkers are cool. You are fully protected. There's no zombies per se down there. But what if someone like dies? It depends on what rule set you're going by. But what if someone dies down there? You're trapped down there with a zombie, because that happens in Night of the Living Dead, doesn't it? So
we have another great option in the UK that the Americans won't have.
Castles.
Castles.
Yeah, I thought you might go for that. That was one I thought I forgot to add that. Yeah.
To be fair, they're going to be in high demand, but if you could lay your hands on one.
Not even just castles though. Like what are they called? Not public houses. What are they called? Like massive fancy houses. What are they called?
Like manors.
Yeah, like some sort of country estate or whatever. Like if you go back like to an old one that's say like 400 or 500 years old, because this country like is a lot older in terms of like Western, history than like America or somewhere like that, for example, or Australia. If you get one of those old manor houses that's like 500 years old, they always used to build them a little bit like a castle anyway. They made them
defensible, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they've got solid stone walls that are probably like, I don't know, 2 foot wide or something. Nothing's getting through that shit. So even if you just went for one of them, and some of them have got like little moats around them and stuff. So a castle, again, that's another good idea. But the downshot of that is people are accessible to you by land, and zombies probably aren't a worry. But as we all know, in the zombie apocalypse, see what I did there?
Sounds like some dodgy porn video.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, people could get you, and that people are always in the zombie things probably more dangerous than the zombies are. So that is the risk of that.
Get them with the boiling oil.
That is true.
Go all medieval on their ass.
That is true. I wonder how well a tank would do, though. I bet a tank could probably punch you through a
Well, there's
castle
probably
wall
about
in
as
not
many
too long.
tanks as there are castles. You
That's
know.
true.
It's not everyone's going to have a castle, but not everyone's going to have a tank.
No, that is
True.
true.
No, in my luck, they probably would.
The
But,
castle's
you know.
probably much more easily accessible than a lot of the other options as well. Because, you know, like we're in the middle of England, so anything by the coast is going to be tricky to get to for
Long
a little
haul.
while. Yeah. So, like oil rigs, islands, lighthouses, you know, and to be
Those
fair,
are the sort of structures that are like have great security, though. I suppose.
yeah. Like, well, because we had also in the Second World War, we had to like fight off the German invasion. Like, you know, we basically at one point in Europe, it was basically us by ourselves, just sort of like fighting the Germans, and then like America sending us like trade, but it was pretty much us by ourselves. So we've got like loads of even First World War and Second World War outposts, old dilapidated outposts spread across the UK. So you could probably use one of them as well. They'd be quite defensible for obvious reasons. So quite good. But yeah, so what would be your favourite out of them? What option would you choose?
I kind of, I don't know. I do like the idea of an oil rig. Like, that just seems like the most logical if we knew someone who could actually fucking
Yeah.
like run one and stuff.
It's a bit of a long shot, though. I'd say the island
is
is probably
true.
the best
Yeah.
all-rounder.
I mean, if you could definitely know you could secure the oil rig, that's probably the optimal strategy to go for. But you are going out on a limb, aren't you? Do you know?
The massive risk.
Also, if you do have problems and you do run out of things, it's going to be a nightmare getting back to land all the time. They are way out to sea.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
often
yeah.
they get stuff brought in via helicopter. So, and I don't know how to fly a helicopter, so you'd have to hope you'd have one. I mean, they can also go via boat, but again, there can't be any swell, really. It has to be really good weather conditions to be able to traverse back and forth by boat. So, let's say you go out by boat on a raiding run and the weather changes, you could be stranded on land away from your oil rig for 4 days or something. I mean, granted, you probably have some safe houses, but do you really want to stay in a not very secured location for 4 days or more? You know?
Yeah. The island definitely sounds better. It's just, yeah, if you go for like the lake and everything, it's pretty much got everything that you need.
Yeah.
Like bar power and stuff, really, hasn't it? But
yeah, but you could probably set up some like water turbines and solar panels and stuff.
on a little island, you could have everything you need and never
Yeah.
need to go back to land.
Exactly.
And that is the dream,
You
isn't
could,
it?
yeah. If you become fully self-sufficient, and you're probably not gonna, if you camouflage your area so it's not obvious there's a compound on the island. You know, you fill it up with like woodland and camo netting and shit, so people don't know. You're not going to get like people going, "Oh, please let me join," and begging and stuff, and you don't know whether they're good guys or raiders pretending, you know, to be in need just to get in and do intel and stuff. So you wouldn't need to go out. You wouldn't need to have all the trouble of going raiding for like loot and food and shit. So you could just sit, just chill, just wait it all out. Because that's another thing with the zombie stuff. I don't know. I can't remember whether we touched on it in the last thing. In the real world, if you're taking it out
Everything
of,
rots, doesn't
exactly,
it?
if you're taking it out of the supernatural ones, where it's like, oh, the hell,
Voodoo.
the hell spilled out, they spilled over from hell. Hell's not taking any more souls or whatever. If you take it on like a virus thing, the body would probably decay at some point when the food source ran out. So, like, my logic always is with zombies is the thing that keeps them going, why they always go for the brains, is because there's something in the brain that nourishes them and keeps them alive, if you will, or keeps their body regenerating. But when that runs out, when they run out of meat or brain, they're going to turn into mush eventually. And, like, you're not going to have, like, Jason and the Argonauts skeletons bobbing about, you know, like...
It's a real thing, even in things like The Walking Dead, when you see the heavily rotted ones.
Yeah.
The muscles wouldn't work anymore. They wouldn't be able to support. So I think, to be honest, you're more likely to get like a fresher sort of zombie around, and that would have a limited lifespan.
Yeah, I think it would as well. I think you probably only need to wait out. Let's say if something was the feeding part was keeping them regenerating for longer. You wait till most people are wiped out. You've probably only got to wait maybe 4-5 years tops before it's almost completely safe against zombies. Anyway, there'd still be people who would be a problem, but then there's no zombies, so there's an abundant resources. There's like, if you imagine there's probably like what I don't know the exact figure, but there's probably like 50 million people in the UK. If you imagine that there's only now 500,000, we've got enough resources.
Plenty of room to stretch.
Exactly. There's enough. Well, there's bountiful resources for everybody left over. So, I think if you the sit and wait out mentality will work in the real world. So, so just getting secure on an island or something and waiting out would be golden, I think. So,
I agree.
Yeah. So, what would you guys pick? You guys would pick the island, although
well, we've come up with a plan, haven't we?
I've got to say
At least we're prepared.
the castle would be tempting, So.
Well, at the end of the day,
there's something quite awesome about that.
Yeah,
if you
roaming around with your broadsword on your back and maybe your shield. Or you could go out in a suit of armour. You'd be clunky as fuck, but they couldn't bite you, could they?
You'd be perfectly safe, yeah.
At the end of the day, guys, it doesn't really matter what I say. I'm following you two anyway, so
Yeah.
I ain't surviving on my own.
No.
God,
Well, of course you come in with us. We'll need bait from time to time.
That is
you're
true.
such a bitch.
That is true. You probably make good bait as well,
Sisterly
because
love, everybody.
you'd be like screaming
don't
and
mean
shit.
it.
So you'd be a good distraction.
So I'm not even gonna be bait by
Plus the upshot
volunteering or
is,
something.
if we're ever
you are
chased,
making me bait like a force.
if we're ever chased by zombies, all I have to do is outrun you to survive. I don't need to.
True, I may not be
That's
the
what we're
fastest runner,
saying,
but
isn't
I reckon I could throw Lou quite far. If I got the right advantage, I reckon I could throw her behind me.
Yeah,
And then they'll
maybe,
just
but
eat Lou
you've
first.
just told her this, so she knows if we're ever on the run from
I wouldn't have
zombies.
fell for it anyway.
If she just
Whatever. It's not been the first time that I've picked you up and launched you, Lou. I'll do it again.
make it
Shut
sound
your
like,
shoulder.
who the fuck are you? Like Brock Lesnar, running around launching people all over the shop,
Just for the record, I'm the tallest
body slamming.
woman out of our tallest woman out of our family.
tallest.
Every other woman is a midget. So
That's right.
They are quite small.
it's
6'4",
Yeah.
hairy.
Built like a brick shit house.
Rock ain't got fuck all
He
on
has
me.
hormonal problems.
He has. You said he has hormonal problems. That's even worse. That's a cold burn, that. And that doesn't even make sense. A cold burn, hot burn, cold burn, whatever.
You can get cold burn,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can.
freeze burn,
Yeah.
off spraying stuff. But that avoids the point that Louisa's a bitch.
On that note, we shall leave this topic there. Topic 3. What are some guilty pleasures of yours? First off, I thought we'd start with gaming and then get into some general guilty pleasures. So, things that may be a bit cheap or tacky are not the coolest thing in the world, but you enjoy it nonetheless, and maybe it helps you to unwind or is a good time waster. So like I was saying, first we'll start off with any gaming ideas that comes to mind, and then we'll just get into general guilty pleasures that, things that you're into or that you do or whatever. So has anybody got any gaming ideas, or do you want me to go first?
I've got one.
Go on then. What you got?
It's like a silly mobile game. I don't know if anyone's seen the Disney movie Inside Out, but they brought a game out for it, and it's basically like your typical 3-ball colour match thing.
Yeah.
But I've kind of ended up getting to level 250 on it.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely counts, because if it's something you're not super hyped to tell people about, then it's a bit of a guilty pleasure. You're sort of like, oh. But yeah, mobile games can definitely be like that to a degree. Like, you're Clash of Clans or your Candy Crush and stuff. I mean, like, they're not necessarily bad things, but they are just sort of like silly time wasters that
It is a time waster.
enjoy.
It's I'll kind of like if I'm bored or if I'm like having to wait for an appointment or something. Although the other day I was having to wait for like an important appointment to somewhere, and I thought, oh, it's taking ages. I'll just have a quick go on it. Thought I was clever and turned the volume down, but I didn't. And the backing music was like fucking full blast. Like, everyone was like looking at me. It was an embarrassing
You were
moment.
suddenly the most annoying person in the room, yeah.
Yes, that was me. But yeah, so that's probably my guilty pleasure.
Be honest though, you play that even when you're not waiting in a queue for something or whatever, don't you? Be honest. Come on, how could you get to 209 without
250.
whatever, without playing it all the time?
It might be what I play, like last thing at night.
Yeah.
It might be first thing I play, first thing in the morning.
It's like we've said before. It's a growing trend. People are into this shit, don't they? They spend their time on these sorts of time wastery games and things. Like you there are core games for mobile, but you probably often don't play them.
It's pretty bad though. It's gotten to the point where I've like been like I'm supposed to be getting like ready to go out or meet someone or something, and then just sat playing it and like been like 10, 15. Sometimes longer late or whatever to these people.
I say guilty pleasures, not like problems with your life. Do we need to sit down and have an intervention with you?
Yeah, whatever.
Right,
You're just jealous you didn't get far.
We will have to ban you from Google Play stores.
Hey, don't take it away. Just one more go, Nathan. Just one more.
Just one more hit of the Candy Crush pipe.
That's all I need. Whatever.
Okay, so my guilty pleasure, if you will, is I've spoke about this to a degree. It's like kids games like Spyro the Dragon, or I don't know. Like I'll give you an example. This game's coming out that I'm super hyped for. Ukulele, the spiritual successor to Banjo Kazooie. You see what they did there? Ukulele, Banjo Kazooie. There's a play on things, but yeah, I'm super hyped for that because it reminds me of like Spyro and all that, all these sorts of, and like the Sly Coopers. And I know Ratchet and Clank's come out recently to rave reviews, but I never was into Ratchet and Clank back in the day. I've heard good things about it, so I'll probably, when it hits the sale or something, give that a go. Because it's like everything I've heard about it, I've never heard anyone say, oh, it's not a very good game.
No, yeah, I've heard good things.
So yeah, but like Spyro the Dragon, things like that, they're my guilty pleasures in terms of games because they're supposed to be like kiddie games that I'm not into, that I'm not supposed to be into. It's like when I played them, they were your games when you were younger, and I'd go and play them, and like I wouldn't tell anyone really.
We
So
all
they just
smashed Spyro. It's really in depth. It's huge.
It is. That's the thing about it. It's like these things are supposed to be kid games. There were some difficult channels. I was probably like, when I played them, I was probably like 15 or something. I don't know the exact time scale, but I couldn't have been, I must have been like a good way into
you must
my
have been, because I was probably about
teens.
8.
So
I was probably 8, so you're 8 years older. So
yeah, I must have been like 14, 15 or something. So yeah, but there were some really difficult challenges. Like I found like difficult to beat a lot of these challenges, and if I found them, like some of these things aren't meant for kids. And then there's always the like Disney sort of
I
jokes
don't know what
where
he's on about. I never had a problem with any of them.
yeah, right. So there's like there were some really difficult missions like that drove me crazy that I spent like hours like going fucking nuts over doing time and time again. But it's like they're supposed to be for kids, but I think there's all this. It's like I was saying, the Disney thing. It's like there's also like the double entendres and stuff that they sneak in there, which is quite cool. Which I like for those sorts of games. So both younger audiences and older audiences can enjoy it. So it's kind of cool. I'm not sure if it's like a guilty pleasure because like when Ukulele comes out, I'm not going to be like hiding that shit away. I'm going to play that and like have my fun with it. I know it's technically probably a kid's game, and it's probably going to only have like a a PEGI rating or whatever your region is. You have different like certificates. Yeah, age certificates. So it's probably only be for like 6-year-olds or something, or 3-year-olds, like you're saying. But
but the thing is, the people who first played it are all grown-ups now.
yeah, and it's like the ones that are open world and expansive. There's like there's a lot to do, and like I said, there's difficult challenges even for like grown-ups. So pretty stoked for that sort of game, and like it's a guilty pleasure. Like probably like advertising Spyro, like definitely was something I kept in secret back in the day, but I'm not really bothered about it now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it, would I? So
only probably because it's like every other adult that had access to it went on it.
Yeah, I'm almost sure I'm not the only person. So, but yeah, have you got any ideas for games, Lou, that are guilty pleasures? I mean, if you've not, we can move on to generalizations.
I've always really got a kick out of the Telltale games, and I know a lot of people say they're trash, but I've enjoyed most of the ones I've played.
I don't think that is a guilty pleasure. I think lots of people enjoy it. In fact, I think I know.
They wouldn't keep making them if they didn't.
I think loads of people.
There's not like any skill to it at all.
No, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed by it or whatever. So to make it like a guilty pleasure, the one thing that aggrieves me about it is how in a couple of the early ones you get a platinum just for playing through the game, which isn't difficult or challenging in any way. So I think that devalues the whole, gamer rank.
Well, it depends how you look at it. If you see it as a platinum cheap, or is it if you see it as a mark of shame?
Yeah, I suppose. But I think it's cheap. The amount of gamer score you'll get on Xbox or a platinum trophy, I think it cheapens the whole system of it. So that's a problem with it. But I don't think it's anything like you say in secret. I think so many people play that shit like openly. And in fact, if you were to say negative things about it, I think you're probably more likely to get lambasted for, being negative about it than saying that you play them.
They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun, but they're not.
Oh, they're not the most taxing game in the world, no.
No, they're not.
But it's a good entry for people who aren't like big gamers. It's a good way for them to get their feet wet, I'd say. So.
But I'm not really ashamed of anything I play. I have a little kind of guilty thing for things like Harvest Moon. I pick it up and play it, and I tend to never complete it, but like I just get a thrill out of growing my carrots and potatoes, raising some cows.
No, it's a good. I totally agree with that. I love me Harvest Moon.
I think they're making a mobile game of it,
cultivating my field.
I think Nintendo's
I generally get like a little bit of excitement over that.
Yeah, I think it's that.
It's like The Sims as well. I really used to like The Sims. The Sims have got one. But Harvest Moon is awesome. Like the little, I don't know if nymphs is the right word. What are they called?
Yeah. Sprites.
Sprites come out. Yeah, I've never really played it, so I don't really know about it. But...
You should do. You'd
love it. I might do. I don't know.
It's very fun. It's quite satisfying, to be honest, when your crops grow and you get to pick them.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it's just like those old, like theme park sort of games where you take enjoyment out of building up your little village or whatever the hell it is.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah. Roller Coaster. Yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah. That's it, yeah. Stuff like that.
I loved all of those.
The best one of them for me was Jurassic Park Tycoon. Do you remember that?
Oh, that was the one on the PlayStation 2.
That was so fucking good. Like you could let like the velociraptors out on your people when you got bored. Fucking leave trash on my fucking walkway, will you? Go velociraptors!
It was actually a cheat to if you got a Tyrannosaurus Rex to eat 5 customers, you get £1 million.
Oh, was it?
$1
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Encouraging.
I think the funniest part was not just destroying them all, but building your park to the absolute peak. So you've got your maximum customers,
that's what I always
and then
did.
removing all the heliports, and then removing all the fences.
Yeah.
Happy days.
That's what I would always do on those games. I'd build them up. I'd spend like 2 hours, 3 hours more building up this fucking dope-ass city and racking in the cash or whatever. And then at the end, I'd get bored and just fucking
kill them all.
Yeah, set the place to carnage. Everything would be on fire. People are blood-curdling screams in the fucking distance. It's...
All right, now
that was the good stuff.
A bit carried away, mate.
It was good.
That's the good stuff.
Everybody who's played that game has done it. Everybody who's played that game has done it.
Yeah, I think it's SimCity. It's like that was like one of the things to do. That was like the the progenitor to all these games, and they put in like let Godzilla loose on the city and stuff, and then it just sort of people just kind of got into doing that stuff. So it's like I saw one on the other day. I think it's that City Skylines. I seen it on like Kotaku or something. This dude had built up this massive city over God knows how much of a playthrough he'd done it, like probably days. But he'd also set up the sewerage system to go into this massive fucking sewage container, which was about as big as the city. And he'd let it build up over God knows how much like real world time it took him to do it. And there was this massive container, this massive pool, just basically full of shit and piss. And it's as big as the city. And then the dude like strips away the walls, and this tidal wave of shit like just flows out, and just it's like I'm not even talking like a little bit. It's like smashing the top of skyscrapers and shit. Like literally shit splashing through.
Like a punami.
Yeah, literally a punami. Just wrecking shop, like smashing through the level, like destroying everything and stuff. And the irony is there's like fires where like his fire crews then got to him in time and the poo's putting out the fires. But in the same breath, everybody's drowning from like poo and wee and stuff.
So that must be one of the worst deaths imaginable. I'd rather be stuck in a fire.
So, so it's clearly a thing that everybody loves to do. So
it's like that on a lot of games. Who's played Grand Theft Auto and not beating up some hookers? Drive them out to the woods and beat them.
Well, perhaps not the hook. Everybody's done that at least once. You can pretend that you haven't, but
doing inappropriate things, just waiting for passers-by, waiting for someone who looks weak, and then just pummeling them because you can.
Yeah, there was like this one video I'd seen where somebody just like chased one person and just like bothered them. I think they chased them through the entire map of Grand Theft Auto, all up into the woods and stuff, like a horror movie. And then like I don't know if they killed them at the end or.
But nobody's played that game and not just been a complete jerk to some of the poor NPCs.
Or just causing mayhem and like killing everyone on the streets just so you can get like the highest rating of stars. Like get the
I tell you what, I used to love to do. Get the Rhino tank, and I don't know, I can't remember what games it stopped working in. I think it probably stopped working in San Andreas. But you get the Rhino tank, you'd spin the turret around, and then whilst driving, when she'd shoot the turret, it'd give like enough recoil to like speed the tank up, and then after you've keep shooting this turret behind you, it's like you're going like a fucking rocket ship across the ground. You're going as fast as any of the fastest cars in this tank, which can just kill any other car in one hit. And that shit's amazing. Then you just like fly it off a ramp or something, and then when you fly it off a ramp, because like you're still getting the motion in the air, and if the turret points towards the ground, it shoots you higher in the sky. That shit was always loads of fun.
You sounded really enthusiastic about it, Nathan.
It's because it was so much fun to do, man.
Good times.
Good times. Like another time I was really proud of, I managed to get. You remember in GTA 3 the planes couldn't really fly. I managed to get the Dodo off that airport and land on the island opposite. Like I know there's like a world record, someone who's done it, like kept it afloat for like 23 hours, but for me that was
a trophy, wasn't it?
That was, I don't know. I don't think they had trophies back then. There was one associated
with it, maybe.
It might be like a retroactive trophy for like a new edition or something, or a classic, PlayStation classic. But yeah. Anyway, so that's gaming stuff. Let's talk about some general guilty pleasures that probably could be more embarrassing. I'll start if you want. Usually things like music I'm more likely to have guilty pleasures for. Like back in the day, I quite liked that 1,000 Miles song. Do you know the one I'm on about?
I still love that song.
No, not that one. You idiot.
The Proclaimers.
Wow, now
I
it looks
love
like
that
a
song
dickhead.
the look at you. Look at where your head goes. That's clearly your guilty pleasure, isn't it? I'm talking about the Vanessa Carlton one. You know, where she's all on piano and shit.
Oh, that's quite pretty.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Is it's really quickly became associated with like girls, you know, singing into their hairbrushes or
white chicks. Are you?
Because of white chicks.
Yeah. It became synonymous from that. But back in the day, I used to, obviously I never told anyone back then, but I used to quite like that song. So
yeah. I've got one. I've got a guilty pleasure, but it's not one of mine. I
What's that
remember sneaking up to your room because Nathan's in like a attic-y thing. Sneaking up to your room, and like I always used to do to annoy you, and accidentally come in and saw you watching Glee, didn't I, Nathan?
I've watched Glee before. I suppose that's a guilty pleasure, but I didn't. I wasn't like religious on it.
He was into
I watch it every
Glee.
now and then.
He
I
was,
wasn't.
and you even. He was like properly absorbed into it, and then when I started taking, I was like, "Oh my god, you're watching Glee!" Like going off on one. He goes, "No, I fucking wasn't." Blatantly guilty.
No, I said to you at the time, I watch it, but I didn't. I wouldn't watch it religiously.
No, you didn't.
It's like
you were all like,
I probably watched it more when there was like nothing on late at night, and then they do the repeats. Like I probably watched it more then, but when it was on, like I wouldn't watch it religiously. But I probably, at least for the first season, I was fully caught up with what was going on. But you just caught. It was kind of part bollocks. I've been with you when we've watched Glee together, so I know you're lying. Like you'd have it on,
and episode.
No,
I've never watched a full episode.
It is kind of trash, but it has its trashy charm. So I suppose it is a guilty pleasure. But like, again, it's not one that I was overtly ashamed to because I wasn't like into it. I was just, it was kind of like just one of those shows that I, watch if it was on. I wouldn't
Take it
go
from
out
me,
of
people. He's full of shit.
Go out of my way. No, I'm not ashamed of such things. If I was ashamed of such things, I wouldn't have told you about the fucking 1,000 miles song. That was kind of embarrassing.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Another thing with music is never really liked any of Justin Bieber's stuff. That track that he does with Diplo, actually all right. I mean, I know that saying anything about Justin Bieber, and he's probably a complete bellend to be fair, but you see some of the way that he acts, you can never tell because it's in the papers and maybe they just sensationalise it. But that track's all right.
Fire.
Which
Yeah,
one?
it could be.
Which one was it that you like?
I don't know, the Diplo one. Probably the first one that he started with his new album or whatever it is. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't really know. Is the one that he's done with Diplo, and maybe it's more about Diplo's production on it that captured me. But it's a good song. Like you can pretend not to like it because it's Justin Bieber, but it is a good track, regardless of who's singing it.
Well,
Justin
Law of
Bieber
Averages said he'd have to have one sooner or later.
I think he's a lot of stuff that I've heard on the radio. It's not bad, like it's decent. It's better than some of the other stuff that's up there. So, but it's like hating on someone just for the sake of hating on them, just because it's kind of cool to hate fucking Justin Bieber or whatever his name is. So.
he was one of my guilty pleasures as well, to be honest. Like when he brought his new album out, there was people that were raving about how amazing it was, and like, do you know what? I refused to ever listen to it for months and months and months, and then literally it got to a point where I'd heard it so much on like radio and stuff like that, I've caught myself singing it, and then it was literally the worst thing I could have done was like to put it on, like to listen to it on YouTube, because now it's on my playlist. Now I listen to it all the time. Like I've got like more like 2, 3, 4 more of his like songs on there that I really like.
So you've become a Justin Bieber fangirl, admit it.
No. I am not. No. It's not that far, but
if you saw him in the street, you would scream, ah, wouldn't you, and run up to him and go nuts. Wet your pants. Admit it.
No.
Admit it.
Like, I'd be a bit like fame, like a bit like fame, like stump. I don't know what.
See, I knew it.
I
knew it.
Isn't he just as likely to spit on you?
Yeah, that's the thing. He like spat
He's
on
probably
all his
not
fans.
that. What he didn't.
There was pictures. There was pictures.
Yeah,
he was on a balcony, and he was like all the girls with like their like signs like crying their eyes out because he was like gobbing on.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. He always throws a
freaky.
hissy fit on stage as well.
It's just odd. I've seen the one where he like pisses in some plant pot, or where like I heard about how he got one of his bouncers or bodyguards to carry him around on his back around the Great Wall of China and stuff like that. because he couldn't be bothered to walk.
I saw the one where he did. It was his grandma's birthday or something, and he went to serenade her with a guitar.
Naked.
But he was naked.
That's mildly amusing. I mean, you know, maybe not a great
not.
call, but
How would Grandma take it if you did that?
I don't know. She probably wouldn't know who I am.
Jolly
So,
good show.
you know. But
That's
yeah,
weird.
something wrong there. Something wrong.
yeah, that's not
I
the
know
worst
what my
thing.
grandma will
really.
love. No, it's not right.
Yeah, well, maybe she's got more of a sense of humour. I mean,
Maybe it's
the
like in joke or something.
yeah, it could be. But yeah,
I
so
don't
like,
want to know what they joke about. though.
Inbred.
I'm personally, you know, I'm not into his shit. Clearly, Vanessa's a fangirl, a believer.
Hey.
But I think just denying like the music's good just because he's a bit of a bellend, you know, that's, you know,
It's like the whole like, Michael Jackson thing, isn't it?
cutting off your nose to spite your face or whatever, and that could be a Michael Jackson thing.
I don't think we can compare Justin
nose.
Bieber to Michael Jackson, though. I don't think that's.
No,
fair.
musically, you can
Yeah,
everything else you
musically.
want to talk about Michael Jackson, that's fair. There's arguments to be had there, but musically, you can't deny that his music was great. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
whereas the reverse isn't necessarily true. So yeah, the only other things I could think of, which like I'm into, and I'm not ashamed of them at all. So they're not guilty pleasures; they're just pleasures. I really like fucking jelly, and I like cherry. Yeah.
Wait,
I know-
wait.
I know they're for
Can you
kids.
please just listen to how you've just said that, Nathan? My
But I
guilty
like
pleasure.
them.
I love fucking jelly.
I do.
Do you not realise how that's
I'm
just
not
came
ashamed.
across?
Not ashamed. Love fucking.
You like making love to jelly?
No, I like. Oh, okay. It wasn't. I like.
I love fucking jelly.
It was. I like.
Where's the comma?
It was. Yeah. It was. I like fucking comma.
Is that what you said? I don't think.
I've never tried it.
He did.
But-
I
Just
swear to
said,
God.
I like jelly.
He didn't. He was. He did.
You do.
I don't know.
Full on. He
We'll
did.
have to have a
Replay
Here's
it.
the thing. I've never tried it, but maybe next time we do a guilty pleasures, my next one will be fucking jelly. I'll give it a go. Why not? Sure. Could be
Comma
fun.
will be in a different place.
Could be fun.
That
but
was great.
yeah,
That's
I
really
like jelly. Blah 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 blah. I like jelly and cherryade. Okay, I know they're for children. You're only supposed to have cherryade at children's parties, but I fucking like it. All right. So,
I had for my 17th birthday. I had my birthday party was like cucumber and cheese sandwiches and stuff, and like jelly and ice cream for my 17th.
was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And pass the parcel.
No, Mum wasn't that.
Did you cry and have a tantrum at the end
It was my party.
because you got tired and you needed a nap?
I always need a nap and cry.
But yeah, like I'm probably supposed to not be into that shit, but fucking why shouldn't I? Who makes the
I
rules?
don't
Deny
think
those
that's
taste
anything to be
buds.
too ashamed of.
Who makes
Not
the rules?
really.
It's like the same people who say you can't eat cereal at night. What? I don't get it. It's just a food. Who's gonna get me?
Cereal's even better when it's like not in the morning.
Exactly. Who's gonna get me? The food police. If I want to eat a bowl of cereal at fucking
You go to like a cafe,
11 at
they
night.
do all day breakfast, don't they?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Who makes the rules here? I do.
And in
Right.
fact, there's been I don't know where it is, like America or somewhere weird. They've opened up a cereal restaurant. So literally,
I
it's
saw
just
that.
cereal.
Are
I'm
they?
not going there.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
like literally, there's like hundreds of like different brands and stuff, like from your Kellogg's to your fucking Captain Crunch. I don't know what they, I don't know.
Captain
Yeah.
Lucky
Crunch.
Charms and
How
yeah,
are you
whatever.
going to take that when you go and have your bowl of cereal and it costs £7?
Yeah. And then they want.
guess
then
so.
they want a tip
Yeah,
on top of it.
for pouring milk.
I'm
It's
not
a bit
going.
much.
I think you could just order what you fancy.
I think maybe you go
I'd
once
like
just
to walk
for.
in there. It'd be nice.
just for a
yeah,
talking
it'd be nice
point.
to kind of. Yeah, it'd be wicked. But other than that, no thanks.
Yeah. Anyway, they're my guilty pleasures. Let's hear some of yours. You've been particularly quiet, Louise. Surely you must have a couple.
I don't know. I don't feel ashamed of most things that I do, to be honest.
No.
Ricky always makes fun of me for, and he says it's the same with Tammy, his sister. Maybe Vanessa can get in on this one. All girls love the film Dirty Dancing.
Maybe.
I'm gonna
No?
have to.
You're perhaps out
no.
of the time period. But,
No, there's
whenever
there's
it comes
loads.
on, I end up watching it. It's great.
Yeah, I think it is a well known that like, a lot of girls like
Patrick
it.
Swayze.
It's not a
with
bad
those
film.
crazy Swayze eyes.
I think, to be fair,
Those hips.
there's a similar
Those
analogy for men. People like girls like Dirty Dancing, guys like Roadhouse. So
Roadhouse. Okay.
it's two.
I like that one too.
It's
I
like the
remember
Family Guy
that.
thing. Roadhouse. Anytime anybody says anything, you just kick them. Roadhouse. But
You're perhaps a little young, but maybe
it's
you
a
should
parallel.
watch it if you haven't watched it lately.
I've watched it. I've watched.
yeah, if you're a girl,
think-
go and watch Dirty Dancing, the original one. And if you're a boy, go watch Roadhouse. Yeah, might be old and cheesy, but trust me, good stuff. Good stuff.
See, this is where, like, I guess one of my guilty pleasure comes in, because when it comes to the, like, I mean, I'm a girl, I get it, I like chick flicks. There are a few select out there: Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet, or whatever.
Joliet.
But you know, Joliet.
Joliet.
Oi, Joliet. Where for out there, Juliet. Anywho's.
I'm upstairs fucking some dude. I've got chlamydia. Go get me some chips, you bastard. Yeah, I can just see the
Right, one step.
the chav interpretation of Romeo and Joliet or whatever it was. Joliet.
Where me fags, Romeo?
You fucking can get. That's what you can see is. Nip down the shop. Get me some.
Get me some white ace, mate. For
And some
those of
Dr.
you
Pepper.
in America, that's like the, like, I don't know what
The dirtiest, cheapest cider.
the one that will rot your fucking insides. Anyway, so yeah, like, I love my, I like selected chick flicks, but I'm not massive on that kind of thing. I've never been a boy band girl. I've never been like.
That's a new
obsessed-
genre. Boy band girl.
No, you know about like the girls that go crazy over the boy bands, like Westlife and
Yeah.
like Boyzone. I was never like really into that kind of stuff, and the same with movies. I've never really been like, oh my god, Dirty Dancing, I love it, or like Footloose or whatever.
Mamma Mia.
I'll have you know, I've never ever once watched that movie. Not once. My friend's mum lent me it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
my
yay!
friend's mum.
No,
Air
Kelly's
quotes.
mum lent me the thing. She lent me the DVD, and she was like, "You'll love it, Vanessa. It's really good." I was like, "Oh, awesome! Cheers." Anyway, so I had it back at my house for about 2-3 weeks. Didn't watch it once. Brought it back round to her. She's like, "Oh, did you like it?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I wasn't expecting you to be in." Yeah, loved it. It was amazing. What was your favourite bit? Oh, shit. I don't know, it was just all so amazing. Yeah, I agree. I was, oh my god, it was like one of the worst moments of my life.
You could have sang all the songs, right?
No, it makes me wanna hurt myself. It makes me wanna like gouge my eyes out.
Recently, somebody said that they had a secret ABBA thing.
Somebody's been caught out. You see,
Ah.
it's like your Jeepers Creepers thing. You keep denying it, but we know the truth. Truth is out there.
Hey, look. Let me
That's
clarify.
so guilty. You didn't even bring it up. Oh man.
Let me clarify.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. No. I was about 9, and I asked my brother to get it me for, like, our other brother to get it me for my birthday.
Are we talking about Jeepers Creepers now, or Mamma Mia?
We're talking about ABBA, an ABBA album.
Oh dear.
Anyway, I'm not scared of Jeepers Creepers. It was one bit that made me jump, and then I've never lived it down for the rest of my life.
Yeah, of course it was one bit. Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
You
You're
keep
an
telling
idiot.
that.
My point is, on average, compared to other females, I tend to not like that kind of stuff. However, one of my guilty pleasures is really shit, like like TV series, like Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware that they're the biggest bag of wank. I'm fully aware they're so cheesy, and they get me shouting at the telly, but I can't help but binge watch them, and I secretly love them.
I've never watched either of those shows.
I'll
It's
advise
like
you
you
not
used to love that fucking One Tree Hill, is it as well? That used to be your jam.
But that said, Nathan, in our time it was Dawson's Creek.
I didn't watch.
I remember
Dawson's
you
Creek.
like. Yeah,
I
you
think
did.
no.
Yes, you did.
We're going back, Nathan, to when we only had like 5 channels, 4 channels
Yeah,
maybe.
in the
And
UK,
that's all that was
unless you
on
had
a Saturday
satellite,
morning.
which was a lot rarer than it is like in the US or in other regions. Yeah, you basically on terrestrial TV you had 5 channels, so you sort of got what you were fucking
Four
given.
to begin with.
Yeah.
It was a big thing when we had 5.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm fairly certain there were a few times when, like, you must have, like, like, you know, told me to shut up when you were watching Dawson's Creek.
Me personally, I've never watched a full episode of Dawson's Creek, so you must be getting
I bet you can sing the theme song now.
Oh, I think maybe is it the I don't want to walk away. Somewhere. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I
sound like I missed out.
I'm sure I watched a bunch of cheesy shit just like that, but Dawson's Creek was never one that got me. There's a load of stuff.
Roswell, you used to watch Roswell, didn't you?
Not really, no. I watched it occasionally. Like some of the things that were kind of cool, I suppose you could call them a guilty pleasure, but again, I wasn't really ashamed. I used to like watching Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. That was hella dope.
Buffy was awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool show, right? And Angel. That was a. I mean, it was cheesy, but it was good stuff, particularly for the time.
It was okay.
Used to like it. But I'm sure there's other
they
stuff.
were awesome.
Oh, I tell you one that I used to watch that was pretty much trash. The OC.
Star Trek.
No, I watched Star Trek. I'm not. That's
No,
not
it's
trash.
pretty much trash.
There's good
It
stuff.
should be.
Like
Star.
Next Generation. That's
You'll get
beast
hate
mode.
for that.
Bring it on. Bring it
I
on.
love that shit.
No, you did used to watch the OC because we used to discuss it.
Yeah, sometimes I used to like.
Oh my God! Can you believe that somebody did that?
No, I never
blah,
used.
blah, blah.
No, I didn't. No, I think you confused
Yeah,
me
he
with someone
did.
else. I never
No, he
had
did,
conversations
people.
like that.
He's lying.
No. If I were talking, I watched it for a while, and then like phased off. But then again, it's like a lot of things. It started getting shown late night when there was nothing else on, and internet wasn't.
It's the same thing.
Internet video wasn't such a big thing.
You had to make do.
Okay, I guess like one of my I don't even know if it's a guilty pleasure because I'm not even sure if I totally enjoyed it, but I used to in the summer holidays and stuff when I was off school and that kind of stuff, I'd literally stay awake like in my sleeping cycle mental, be watching DVDs and playing games and stuff, and after I'd finished, if I couldn't be asked, I'd literally sit there for hours watching like when like a certain time comes on, past a certain time, and all like the shopping channels come on or the gambling channels come on. I used to sit there for hours and watch it.
Oh, I can't do that.
Yeah, that's suggesting
I don't know why.
mental difficulties more than anything else.
Why am I mental difficulties and no one else is?
Sitting and watching the shopping channels.
Yeah, the shopping
I
stuff's
don't know whether it got on.
garbage.
It was mainly the gambling ones, which is quite funny because once when I was watching it, because they used to ring up if they've got the answer and shit. Someone rang up and just started giving the show host loads of shit. You fucking bitch!
Yeah, but why would you sit and watch that? You're talking about the stuff where they like spin roulette wheels or something
yeah, and
like
they've
that.
got like puzzles and stuff. Like they've got like puzzles and they've got like.
Garbage. Get your phone out and play some fucking game. You're gonna have
This is
more
like
fun.
fucking 10 years ago or something.
It's not. That shit's still on now.
There's always
yeah, but not
better to
now.
do.
The only thing remotely close to that I would watch is the late night poker. Not the shit you're talking about where there's one dude talking to camera like a proper
table,
yeah, poker event. Like I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on in the nuances of it. Because I have a rudimentary understanding of poker, but I could watch that for quite a while. But that's about the only thing close to that, really.
I don't know what it was. I didn't particularly like enjoy it. Like it wasn't like I was, yes, fucking TV turned off. I get to watch telecommercials or whatever, telecommercials. But yeah, like I used to sit there like aimlessly and just watch it for ages.
Yeah.
So the birds started tweeting, and then I'd go sleep till the evening.
You've literally got too much time on your own back then. Literally, that is just dreadful.
Pretty much.
I would do the same with like games. I'd start a game at God knows what time, and then finish it, and it would be like 8 in the morning or whatever, But
I'd have to wait. Because it was when I was playing Resident Evil 4. I reckon. We had to wait for that. Like I had to play it in the day because my friend and Kelly and her like boyfriend of the time, when it like whenever however old we were, like we used to play it in my room and stuff, and then Kelly was really shit at it, so that we just used to send us down the shop for snacks while we it was like a little shop hall. But yeah, so no, I don't know what it was. I just aimlessly used to sit and watch it. Just pass the time.
I've got a good one actually.
Right then.
I queued up at midnight for the midnight launch of the last Harry Potter book.
That's
Yes, I did.
it's not
And
a
I
bad
sat up
thing,
all night
but it is
reading
nerdy. It is super nerdy.
Proper nerdy.
You-
Did you dress up as well?
No, I didn't. But like,
No,
I was the envy of a lot of people because I had an umbrella and they didn't. And I ended up sharing my umbrella with this like old lady or whatever. But then I had to keep talking to her. And stuff.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Booted her out.
But I
Why
don't
didn't they all
regret it.
just use their
It was
magic? And turn the
We're
rain
muggles,
off? I know.
Nathan,
Yeah.
honestly. We can't. We didn't have a choice. Harry wasn't there in person for book signings, so. But I don't regret it.
No.
But
I wouldn't say that's like a
not
bad
for
thing,
it.
but it is nerdy. You have to wait. You have to put your nerd badge on and
Yes.
wear it with
She's like
pride.
a proper adult as well. Not, like I'm an adult, but I'm not a proper adult. But how old? Yeah. Like Lou was like, a responsible adult doing it as well. So that makes it even more.
You're physically an adult,
There
but
was loads of
Yeah,
adults
yeah.
there. There was
mentally
no kids there.
a moron.
Really?
There was loads. They were queuing like down the street. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, only because the kids weren't allowed out.
Yeah, to be fair, it's for midnight lunch. There could only be adults there. You're not going to get little kids there, are you, at midnight lunch?
There were some, but there
Were
was
there?
loads of adults.
Huh?
Yeah,
It's
some of the parents would
exciting,
allow
you
them.
don't get it. You have to get it and then sit up all night reading it.
But it was kind
I
of
got
an event,
halfway
weren't it?
through.
It's
It
the
was
same
the
with,
last one. It was like it caught the zeitgeist. People wanted to be in on all that excitement of reading it first, and they didn't want spoilers and stuff. So
It's the same as like a midnight launch for a game, ain't it? Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, when what was it? GTA
I never
came out. That
did
was
any of that shit, though.
I remember it being in a cold month because obviously in game in the UK where I used to work and stuff, like people were like frozen, like properly frozen, shaking. There were like rows, like completely, like the whole like high street was just full of people because they just needed to get this game. It was ridiculous.
I don't know why you would need it that bad. I mean, it's so much better in this area because if you haven't ordered it from like Amazon or something, that's easy first enough. But now you can just download it digitally and just in the comfort of your home, and
I guess.
it's not
I mean,
a
this was
problem.
just before the PlayStation 4 and thingy came out, so I don't know. But they were avid to get it and stuff. Like I know people. I've got a friend who plays Dark Souls 3. He's obviously got it. He got like booked a whole week off work just so he could sit and play it. He told me
Yeah.
that he's played 150 hours so far.
People love that
Which
shit.
is
I tried that
like
Neo,
a
which is
week.
very much Dark Souls-esque, and I get why people would get into it, but I just found it way too frustrating. And like, there was just so much thrown at you. Wasn't any tutorials. Like, yeah, if you're a seasoned Dark Souls player, you could probably just get straight into it. But
Yeah, he is. He like loves them all. And he's like obsessed with it, properly obsessed.
I mean, I get the
Been out
game
3
loop makes
weeks.
sense, But
Yeah, it's only been out 3 weeks, and if he spent 1 week out of 3 weeks playing it,
yeah,
like that's the amount of hours that he's built up.
no, good for
Crazy.
them though. That, they really get something out of it. It's like I'm saying, like we said previously. I feel like sometimes games aren't made for me anymore. So if someone gets a game that they feels made for them, then they're
And I
good for them,
totally you know what I mean, like props to him. Like if he loves it that much, it's like how I was with the Last of It. It's like I loved that game. I thought it was amazing, and I just played it as any opportunity I got. I'd be like out in the day, and I'd go, oh, can't wait to get home.
Yeah, that's the good
I
stuff.
was like obsessed with it. It was wicked.
Wow, that's this month's Recon Cast done and dusted. I hope you enjoyed our shenanigans and tomfoolery, and don't forget to join in with our nonsense by posting your ideas for future topics in the comments. And as well as a name check, your topic could feature in an upcoming episode. Anywho, If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.